In this video, I will show you how you can create your own AI receptionist using OpenAI Realtime API, Twilio, and RetellAI. That means there will be an AI agent deployed behind a phone number, which means when somebody calls that phone number, the AI agent will pick up that phone number and respond to users' queries and also be able to schedule appointments, just like a real human would do. Humans will sit in front of counters, and whenever they receive a call, they'll just pick it up and say, "Hello, how can I assist you?" But it's not a real human, okay? It's AI that can work 24/7 and boost your business efficiency so that humans can work on more important tasks. The format of the video will be that I will show you the demo first, make sure you watch it, and then you can decide whether you should watch it further or not. And after that, I will show you how I built this, okay? This AI receptionist specifically focuses on dental receptionist, but that does not mean it is limited to this niche. You can create it for any niche, but just understand the concept from here, okay? All you have to do is change the instructions and also customize the flow as needed. Anyway, let's look at the demo first.
Hello, Sohail. This is Dental Care. How can I help you?
Hey, I want to schedule an appointment. Can you help me?
Of course, Sohail. I'd be happy to help you schedule an appointment. If you could share any specific symptoms you're experiencing, like pain or discomfort, it would help me assist you better. If you're unsure, we can still find a time for you to come in and get checked.
Sure, please let me know the available time.
The earliest available appointment slot is tomorrow, Sunday, March 16th from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Would you like to schedule your appointment for a specific time within that range?
The earliest one. That works for me.
Booking an appointment for Sohail at 12 p.m. tomorrow. Your appointment has been successfully booked for tomorrow, March 16th at 12 p.m. If your symptoms worsen or if you have any other concerns, please don't hesitate to call us back.
Now, to create this AI receptionist, we will use RetellAI. It is a platform that lets you integrate OpenAI Realtime API and Twilio and create this AI agent very efficiently without getting into complexities of codes, etc. So simply go to RetellAI and log in. If you don't have an account, just simply sign up. Once I'm logged in, as you can see, I have created this dental receptionist here. You can just click create an agent and use this one single prompt. There are multiple options that you can explore anytime, but we will start from this one that says single prompt agent. So when I click this, let's see what's inside. Basically, this is just a prompt. I will share it in the description. You can find all the resources that you need. So just understand the concept here. This is the area where you will provide the instructions to your AI, okay? You will tell the AI what is your purpose, your goal, how to behave, how to respond to specific query, etc. From here, you can select the models that you want. So we are using the OpenAI Realtime API, so I can choose one of these two because the quality of sound and its understanding of users' audio is something next level, right? So let's select GPT-4o Mini Realtime. You can also select the voice. If you click here, I'll choose a voice from OpenAI because these voices are much more realistic. So let's choose Ash because this one is my favorite. Okay, now let's see. If I click test audio, I can just test my agent here anytime. Before I test it, let me show you how the flow overall works. Okay, so there are some other settings such as in webhook settings, I have the inbound call webhook URL. I'll explain what does this webhook means. I will also explain this one and all the configuration that I have. Before that, let's go back here, go to phone numbers. As you can see, I have a phone number here that I have purchased, and I have connected this dental receptionist that I have created to this phone number, which means anyone who calls this phone number, this AI will pick up the phone call and respond according to whatever configurations that I had. Let's go back to our dental receptionist. Now let me explain you the webhooks that I have configured over here. This is the inbound call webhook URL, which means when somebody calls this AI receptionist and before the AI receptionist even attend the phone call, it will use this webhook URL and get the things that it requires. Okay, so with this webhook URL, it is getting the past history of the caller and loads the memory inside our prompt. As you can see, we have the name, email, previous conversations, etc. So just like a real human being, when you receive a phone call, you see the phone number, you see the name of the user, and then your brain automatically recalls the past conversations or previous interaction with that guy, whoever is calling. Similarly, this is what this AI will be doing here. It will use this webhook URL instantly to recall the previous information of the user that are stored in an Excel sheet. Okay, I have stored them in an Excel sheet. Let me show you how it looks like. Okay, I have this Google sheet that have information of my leads. These are just dummy leads and incorrect ones. I have put it here just for the sake of this demo. In your case, you can load all your leads and make sure it have these 4 columns at least, or you can add anything. Just you have to understand how to actually customize this. Okay, right here, this is an actual lead. I have put my phone number so that when I was calling the AI agent, it remembered my name. It knew what is my name and what we previously talked about. Okay, so also we have this context here that says past conversation context here, as you can see. So it is saying, Sohail initially called Pi Dental Care to schedule an appointment for throat pain, but was advised that the clinic specializes in dental issues, blah blah, whatever the conversation was. We are storing the entire summary of our conversation, I mean the conversation between AI and the patient, in this column. Okay, so that later on, whenever this same person call from the same phone number, our system will automatically go to this Excel sheet, load in all the information, and then it will pick up the call. It plays very important role into getting the user information and personalizing the call experience for the caller. Okay, now here we have another agent level webhook URL. This is also similar webhook, but what it does is, when the phone call is finished and is ended either by AI or by the user who called, this webhook will be triggered by RetellAI that will send the call analysis to the webhook. Okay, our webhook takes in the call analysis and update the 4th column of our Excel sheet here and store the entire summary. Alright, I will show you how this flow are. I will talk about each of these webhooks so that you understand how I build it. It's very simple actually. There is no need to be worried so far. So first we have the dental patient info retrieval. Okay, this is a webhook or a scenario that I have created on make.com. Let's get inside this. Let's click edit because I want to show you what's inside. Okay, now with this webhook I have defined what type of data you are going to accept, because if somebody sends anything, will this webhook accepts it? Of course not, which is why I have created a structure for this webhook on make.com. As you can see, this is the data structure. I have named it retail initial webhook. If I click edit, you will see that to this webhook I have defined, hey, whenever you are receiving a request, make sure in the JSON request that is coming should have LLM ID, it should have a from number, and it should have a to number. Okay, so if the incoming payload have these 3 keys inside, then you are going to accept the request and proceed further. Even if you don't specify it, it's all good, it will still work. It's just because I myself is a developer, so I prefer telling webhooks what type of data you are going to expect. Let me summarize once again. Somebody calls the RetellAI phone number that you have assigned to AI agent. Okay, what the agent does, it sends a request to this webhook that you are looking at right now. This webhook look at the payload and fetch the from number. So from number represents the caller phone number, whoever is calling right now. Okay, because RetellAI sent us the payloads, which is why we know who is calling. Then we have this another module here, that is search rows on Google Sheet. Here I have connected my Google account. You can just simply do it in make.com. I have selected the drive, the spreadsheet ID. In my case it's called patient info. So it's very simple. If you click here, it will just load you all the sheets that you have and select the one that you want to filter rows from. Right, so what it have is I have applied a filter. So here I have applied a filter that says from the entire spreadsheet, give me the row that have this from number that was received by this webhook URL from RetellAI. So it means we are passing in the caller's phone number here in this module. So it will automatically filter out this entire sheet. This is the phone number that I used in the demo. What it does is it filter out all the rows and only return me this entire row because this was the phone number that I used for calling. So from this module we got the phone number, whoever is calling. Now this is another module that just creates a format date. It's useless basically, but I just put it here so that the AI receptionist have the up-to-date time and date, etc. So it's not really necessary. Anyway, here in the fourth module, it is again a webhook, but this time it is not receiving something. Instead, it is responding to the request that it received from RetellAI. Right? RetellAI sent us a payload and saying, hey, this is the phone number which is calling me right now. Let me know what to do. So we did all the processing. We filter out the rows from the Excel sheet. Now it's time to give data back to RetellAI so that it can further attend the phone call and personalize the experience for the caller. So inside this webhook, as you can see, I am returning a status 200 and I'm returning a JSON body. This JSON body have simply the name, the email, the phone, the past conversation and current date time, and all this information is coming from previous steps. Simply, let's say I don't want to return last name. Let me remove it. If you click here, you will see all the variables that you have. In my case, I can select my first name and it will become part of this body. It's very simple to use make.com. If you spend few hours, you can simply master it. Okay, so this is the body that we are returning. Most importantly, we have this API key passed over here. So you can obtain this API key from your RetellAI account. If you go to RetellAI, down here you can see API keys. Just click here and this is your API key. You can also create a new one whenever you need it. Simply copy this, go back to your make.com and paste it here. Make sure this key is called authorization. Anyway, so this is the webhook that was responsible for retrieving the initial patient information when somebody is calling. So this webhook URL is completed. I have explained it, why it is here. Let's talk about this webhook URL now. Now this webhook is used during the call or after the call. So when the agent picks up the phone call, it sends a request to this webhook by saying, hey, a call has been started. Now you can take some sort of decision based on that, but in our case it is irrelevant. Similarly, when a call is ended, it still sends the payload to this webhook URL. By it I mean RetellAI will send some payload, okay, to this webhook that we are providing. Again, when call is ended, we are not interested in that webhook. So but the third thing is call analysis, which means when the call is ended, RetellAI summarizes the entire conversation, and yeah, we are definitely interested into that. Okay, so what I did is I defined a specific webhook on make.com to receive that call analysis, and once I receive it, I am storing it back into the Excel sheet. Like people are calling, AI talks with them, and update the past conversation summary in our Excel sheet. So it's not just updated once, instead we have the entire summary of whatever conversation we had with this specific patient. Okay, so this is the call analysis webhook. This is a different scenario that I built on make.com. Okay, similarly like in the previous one, we had a webhook here where I have defined what type of data you are going to respond. Again, I have defined a structure called call analysis structure. You can name it anything. If you want to create your own structure, you can click add, and here you will define it by clicking add item, selecting the name, etc. But I have it created already. Let me show you how it looks. Okay, so in the structure I have said whatever payload you receive, it should have event, it should have call, and it should have call analysis. It should have these keys inside, otherwise reject it. So it also makes it easy for me because I can use these keys without doing so much testing. I mean, if you are a regular make.com user, you should definitely understand what does I mean by that. Remember, this webhook is called multiple times: when the call is started, when the call is ended, and when the call analysis is available. So with the first two type of events we are not interested, but with the third one where it is call analysis we are interested, which is also one of the reason why I define data structure for this webhook. Because if the data structure have no key called call analysis, then it will not proceed further, so it will by default ignore the rest of the requests that are coming. Okay, so simply after receiving the payload, it is searching Google Sheet. So again it will filter out the row and give us the row which we have to update. The call analysis object that we receive from RetellAI have all the information about the phone call, including the from number or the custom variables that we returned initially when the call was not even picked by AI, right? Using the other webhook, I mean. Here in the filters, I have searched the rows using a phone number, so it has retail LLM dynamic variables. Remember, with the previous webhook I was also returning a payload, and that payload contained a phone number who actually were calling that AI assistant. I did that because later on I knew that I can use it here to again filter out my Google Sheet and update the call summary whenever I want it. So once I have filtered out the row, I am using OpenAI inference. So here I have selected a create a chat completion. GPT-4o mini is the model that I'm using. You can keep the rest of the configuration default. Go through the given conversation summary and previous context, blah blah blah, and make sure to extract all the key information and summarize it. Now in the next message I have provided the previous conversation context, which means the existing ones before this call. Whatever context we had available about the user, we are providing it here, and here we are providing the latest call summary, whatever was discussed in this new call. I'm passing it here, and then I'm saying create a single summary without losing any useful information. So it is combining both the summaries and eventually making it just one summary. So after that we are just updating our Excel sheet. Now here you can see update a cell. We are updating the Excel sheet. We are specifying which cell we want to update. In our case, we know that the column is E and the row number is, we are getting it from back over here because we simply filter out the rows, so we can get the row number. As you can see, row number is 2 in this case. In the value we can pass in the content whatever was generated by OpenAI model. So after that just simply click save, and that's it. So this was the second webhook that I defined, which accept call analysis and update our Excel sheet once again. Okay, we have talked about this webhook setting. If you have any confusion, just leave a comment down there. I will definitely respond to each individual comment. So let's further talk about this point over here. So this is post call analysis, where you can define what type of post call analysis you need. In my case, I just said, hey, create a variable called detailed call summary, and in the description I said summary of the call, whatever was discussed, and that's it. So this variable eventually gives me the entire summary of the phone call. You can just extract something else. Maybe you can say just extract the email address of the patient, or extract this or that, and it will just do that instead of giving you the entire call summary. In the call setting, I have kept everything as default. In the speech setting, you can configure how fast your AI should be responding. I have set it to fastest. You can always play around with these settings and choose whatever works best for you. In the knowledge base, it is very interesting actually. You can add your own data, maybe your own company policies or store policy, etc. Upload it here in a form of text file or PDF, whatever. Then whenever a user on a call asks anything, it can just always refer to this knowledge base. I mean, the AI can refer to this knowledge base and respond to that user's question. It means you don't have to pass in every information here in the instructions, right? Now the final thing here is the function. Now functions are used to connect your AI agent with external tools. In this case, I wanted this AI receptionist to be able to schedule appointments. For that, I used functions. Now RetellAI comes with many built-in functions. These are very useful. We have the end call function, we have the call transfer function, like in under specific circumstances you would want to transfer the phone call to a real human. Okay, so you can just do it, and here in the instructions you can specify if the user is crying too much, just transfer the phone call to this phone number. But I have connected these two functions that are check calendar availability and book on calendar. So just simply select these two and it will start working for you. Make sure to input your care.com API key and the event type ID. Let me show you how you can get this. So here I'm in my care.com. Let's say this is the calendar that I want to connect. So if I click here, you see up here we have this event ID. Just simply copy this, go to RetellAI and paste it here. Now go back to care.com. This time go to settings, click API keys, and there you go. You can create your API key and paste it here. So your care.com is connected with RetellAI anyway. So these were few configurations that I used here. And one more thing, actually down here you can see welcome message. You can also select the welcome message. You can define whether AI should start talking first or wait for the user to speak first. You can also specify what should be the initial message, right? So let's test this AI receptionist. We don't need to use our phone every time. You can simply test it here, and when you are ready you can just connect it to that phone number that you purchased. So let's click test.
Hello Sohail, this is Pi Dental Care. How can I help you?
Hello, what can you do for me?
Hi Sohail, thank you for reaching out. How can I assist you today? If you're experiencing any dental discomfort or pain, please let me know the details so I can help schedule. I'm here to help with any dental concerns you might have. If you're experiencing pain or discomfort,
anyway, so you saw how you can just test it, play around with it, change the different configurations, and connect the OpenAI Realtime API models using RetellAI without going into any complexities. Also, the JSONs of these make.com scenarios that I have built are in the description below. So let me show you how you can import. Simply click create a new scenario. Down here you can see this button, and here select import blueprint. So here you can choose the JSON file that I have shared as in the description below, so you don't have to create the flows from scratch. Anyway, I hope it was helpful. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to receive notification for any new video. Yeah, that's it for this video then. See you next time.